يقول سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت. Allah says, don't you dare say that I am definitely going to do that tomorrow. Don't say that. Actually, he doesn't just say don't say that. لا تقل. He said لا تقولن. Don't you dare say it ever about anything that I am definitely doing that tomorrow. Now, if you do that, if you stop at this ayah, that there seems to be a problem. Because your boss says, you better hand in the assignment tomorrow. You say, definitely. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, sure, inshallah. And sometimes you say inshallah, sometimes you don't say inshallah. But people make definite promises all the time. Yeah, I'm definitely going. Are you coming to the invitation? Yeah, I'm definitely going. Hey, are you going to Jum'ah? Yeah, definitely. You know, we say these definite things all the time. It is only in the next ayah that Allah completes the subject. And He says, إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهِ. With the exception that you say that Allah wills. The only exception is, I intend to do this fully, except if Allah wills. Meaning, this is why in the culture of the Muslims, when we talk about the future, we use the words, inshaAllah, if Allah were to will. I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock, inshaAllah. Meaning, if Allah decides that I'm not able to see you, that's out of my control. My intention is there, but Allah's plans can be different from my plans. So as far as my plans are concerned, I'm making a commitment. But if there's a rainstorm or an earthquake or my car shuts down, I don't know. Allah can decide anything between today and tomorrow. The future is not in my hands. So I have to make that insurance claim and say it's in the hands of Allah because it's in the future. The Muslim understands that the future is not in their hands. But here we have to understand a very powerful aspect of balance. The Muslims, unfortunately, subhanAllah, when we get further from the book of Allah, even the beautiful teachings of our religion become ugly. They look beautiful on the surface, but when you don't stay connected with the book of Allah, you don't stay connected with the sunnah of His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then those same things that are supposed to be beautiful turn into something ugly. And this is what many of us are guilty of. So we say inshallah, which means probably not. That's what we do now. Hey, are you coming? Yeah, inshallah. Which means, I'm not sure. So inshallah is actually our way of getting out of making a commitment. These ayat are not about escaping a commitment. As a matter of fact, inni, fa'ilun, dhalika, ghadan are very strong words. For sure, I am absolutely going to do that tomorrow. Making a statement of guarantee and making a promise and making a commitment that you're definitely committed to doing this is not the problem. As a matter of fact, that's what you should do. You should in fact make strong commitments. You shouldn't just casually say, okay. If you can't do something, say I can't do it. If you can't be there, just say I can't be there. But if you make a promise, then commit to it. Commit to it. And then add, the only way that this will not happen from me is if Allah decides something that's beyond my control. That's illa an yasha Allah. Illa an yasha Allah does not mean if I wake up late, I'm not coming. Or if I'm not in the mood. You don't use inshallah for that. That's a misuse of this powerful phrase. You're recognizing that not everything is in your control. Allah has given you the ability to make commitments and the capability of fulfilling your commitments. But even if you have some capability, Allah has all, He's huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. He can stop you in your tracks with all of your intentions. With all of your intentions. This is the essence of the phrase, illa an yasha Allah. But then Allah adds, He adds, وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ إِذَا نَسِيتَ. Mention your Rabb. Make mention of your Rabb when you forget. It was interesting, Allah Azza wa Jalla didn't say in naseet, if you forget. He said when you forget. And there's a big difference between if and when. Because if something happens, it might happen, it might not happen. But when you say idha naseet, when you forget, Allah is guaranteeing. Because Allah can give guarantees, I can't. Allah is guaranteeing that you and I will forget. You and I will forget. There will be times where we make promises about the future, and we're not going to remember to say inshallah. We're going to make plans in our head. Sometimes you don't even say something. By the way, qawl in Arabic, qala yaqulu in Arabic is not just speaking with your head, with your mouth, but even saying something to yourself. You know, in English, I said to myself, that idea, just a thought. Sometimes you have thoughts, I'm definitely doing this or that or the other. Even that thought should be accompanied with inshallah. Even that thought. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes I just have it in my head. Yeah, this week this, next week this, tomorrow this flight, then this meeting. Okay, I got it. All right, I know what to do now. But the thought of inshallah didn't come in your head. And it should. You know, sometimes you're talking to somebody on the phone. And you make a promise about the future. I'll see you at dinner. Okay, I'll see you. Assalamu alaikum. And you hang up and you go, oh, I didn't say inshallah. Now that doesn't mean you call them back and say, hey, by the way, inshallah. Just wanted to leave you a voicemail, inshallah. No, don't do that. They don't have to hear inshallah. Allah Azza wa Jal wants to hear you say it. You just say it to your Rabb. وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ إِذَا نَسِيتَ. Mention your Rabb when you forget. And this is really beautiful language. إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ وَاذْكُرْهُ إِذَا نَسِيتَ. Remember Him when you forget. Allah didn't say that. He said, remember your Rabb. You see, when Allah has already been mentioned in the ayah, إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. When Allah has already been mentioned, when someone's mentioned by name, then the next time you mention them with a pronoun. For instance, to make this easy to understand, say if Allah wills, and remember Him next time. Remember Him when you forget. Now the word Him would refer to Allah. But actually Allah doesn't use the word Him. He doesn't use the pronoun. He says, Rabbak. This is actually reinforcing the idea that you're almost reintroducing yourself to the concept of Rabb with Allah. That Allah is in control of your future. He is your Rabb. He is your absolute master. And you cannot lose sight of that. This is part of the authority of Allah on you, that your future is in His hands. So Allah specifically went out of His way to say, Rabbak idha nasit. When it comes to us making commitments about our future. That it is in fact in Allah's hands. Now this is an incredible ayah of balance so far, because on the one hand, you are making the strongest guarantees. Inni fa'ilun dhalika ghada. Not even inni sa'af'al. Those of you that are familiar with Arabic, it's not even a verb. It's this commitment with a noun, with an ism fa'il. I'm absolutely doing that tomorrow. But then on the other hand, you have this absolute reliance on Allah too. And so we have to talk about this balance a few minutes before I move on. There are some people in this world, they think they can do everything because of themselves. I'm really intelligent. I have a really reliable car. I'm a really good driver. I know the best way to get there before I get late. All the reliance is on myself. The reason I have a successful business is because I have a really good business plan. The reason I have a good job is because I went to a good school and I got a good GPA and I have a good resume. So it's all about relying on yourself. And they have it's actually a hundreds of millions of dollars of industry of this, the self-help and self-motivational industry, which the beginning and the end of it is you can do anything. You're amazing. You don't even realize your own power and your own potential. And people pay thousands of dollars to go for a weekend to hear them say you can brush your own teeth and you can take your own flights or whatever. And they get fired up because there's this idea of the self, the power of the self, which has some validity. But on the other hand, there are people, on the other extreme, there are people who say, I can't do anything. I'm just a miskeen. I'm just a abd of Allah. What am I? I'm not worth the dust of somebody's feet. I'm nothing. I'm made of turab. I'm made of a nutfa, like Allah describes this humble, pathetic creature. Then I can't really do anything at all. They have no self-confidence at all. And I say, Allah does everything, I do nothing. Allah does everything, I do nothing. And these people, you know what ends up happening? They do nothing in life. And when nothing happens, they say, well, Allah decided nothing should happen. So they blame everything on Allah. On the one hand, you have people that rely none on Allah, entirely on themselves. And on the other extreme, you have people who rely only on Allah and put no effort themselves. This ayah, among many in the Quran, is an ayah of balance. You have to make commitment. You have to take action. Inni fa'ilun dhalika ghada. But you're the same one who has to understand that your commitment and your action and your capability is in the hands of your Rabb. And He will only grant it to you when you try to fulfill it. When you make the best of your efforts. Sometimes your plans and Allah's plans are the same. Sometimes. Sometimes you decide to go somewhere and Allah decides to let you go also. Sometimes you decide to go to a college and Allah gives you admission into that college also. You decide to graduate early and Allah lets you graduate early also. So things go according to your plan. All that means is your plan and Allah's plan was the same for that one thing. But sometimes your plan and Allah's plan are not the same. Sometimes you want to stay in that job for 10 years but you get fired after 6 months. Sometimes you apply to this school and you had the best application but you still didn't get in, and people with a worse application than you got in. It happens. Sometimes your plans and Allah's plans are not the same. These ayat are recognizing that not everything will go according to my plan. I will still have to make a plan. I will still have to put in the effort. But at the end of the day, it is Allah who will decide whether this plan will come through or not. This is وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ إِذَا نَسِيتَ.